Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Good Intentions with Lisa-Tien. That is me. Oh my God, feel like I am about to crash out. I felt like I was gonna crash out all day today. Not all day, right? So today's Monday, I'm recording. Usually have Mondays off. Went into work for one client. We do like a color root touch up and extension move up. So that's always nice, but when we get close to the end, like sometimes the cleaning crew comes in or whatever, like I start to get really antsy because I'm ready to be done. And then it just feels like I just am getting overstimulated when there's lots of sound. So then there was that. Right, we finished, blah, blah, blah. Was on the way home. I'm on 35 going north from like downtown Fort Worth area, and there's just backed up traffic. So once I got to the exit towards 183, 121, I saw that some of the lanes were blocked off. Okay, whatever, right? Traffic's over. I get onto fucking 183 slash 121, same thing. The whole entire highway was blocked off, all of the lanes. So all of these lanes had to merge and exit into this one exit. And I was just sitting there and I was like, very aware that I took my Vyvanse today, and I'm just like, okay, I'm literally just sitting here. Like I cannot handle just like sitting here, and I just told myself to like just chill, but like I'm on medication, so like I want to do things. I want to go. Can you tell? Can you tell? So I was like starting to get irritable, took that exit, had to U-turn back onto Carson Street or Carson Road or whatever, took that all the way up to 26 to get to Target where I usually go grocery shop. But that day today at the light, it was also backed up and I was just like, I cannot handle this anymore. So I just stopped at the first Walgreens because I needed to buy a new eyebrow pencil, specifically the NYX Espresso, and only that one. And then I just stopped at Kroger and did that, came home, was still starting to feel irritable. And I think it's just because I haven't eaten all day. Like I just had a yogurt and a coffee and a Vyvanse. Like we're unhinged. So I just ate my leftover Wingstop. And now here we are. I should be meal prepping, but I want to ride this high from this weekend and just update you guys because it was such a fun weekend. So we went out to Dallas for one of my besties' birthday. And dude, like if you give me an out, I'm going to take it, but like it's her birthday, you know, like I just had been staying up late all week finishing the Vampire Diaries and all that. So just been tired. And once Saturday came, I was like, I'm really tired, but I'm going to power through. I said I was going to go, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I know that once we get out there, I'm going to have a good time. So several points to this story, right? I thought it would be okay not to eat dinner. I started to get hungry. And after I finished getting ready, she just started getting ready. So I was like, that's fine. I'm going to go get food. And I got Taco Bell because I had been thinking about Taco Bell for a few days. And I said, fuck it. But also I knew like, why am I eating this before I go out? I'm wearing like a tight dress. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to look bloated like a potato. And, you know, it just is what it is. Like, I don't care. With that dress, I have to wear shorts because I take a few steps and the dress will slide up and my fucking butthole and my cooter is going to be showing. So I wore like my Gymshark shorts. So then I put the dress on top of it. And like after a while, the shorts will like either slide down or the dress will readjust to where it's cutting off my midsection. And it just doesn't look like a cohesive silhouette. And I hate that. But whatever. I wore a fanny pack and it was fine. And you know, whatever. I'm like, we're still cute, right? So then we would get there. Okay, but before we got there, I was like, maybe and perhaps I will manifest and meet my future husband today. because I never go out to Dallas, right? We always go to 7th. And we are going to Te Deseo, which one of my friends recommended. So we got there. It's like Latin music / pop EDM, such a fucking vibe. And I'm looking around and I'm like, what are the chances some like single hot guys are going to be here? Single white guys are going to be here because everyone is, I was going to say brown, but there were a mixture of a lot of different people actually, and everyone was attractive. All the guys, like, didn't matter what race they were, didn't matter their height. I'm just looking around and I'm like, oh my God, Dallas guys are just something else. And I'm not too phased on it. Like, I'm not out there searching, right? Like, I'm not gonna be on the prowl. It's just if someone catches my eye, then they do. So we're dancing, we're having a good time. We're on the patio, on the rooftop patio, and the bar, like, it's packed over by where the DJ is. There's several bars inside. There's one downstairs, there's one inside, and another one somewhere else. So we go in to grab drinks or whatever, and I noticed like these pack of guys, of white guys. They were all cute. And I'm like, one of them. But how do you approach a group of guys when they're all cute? Like, I was like, I don't want to come off like thirsty. So I was like, kind of thinking about it. Do I just go up and say, hey, which one of you guys are single? And what was funny was, okay, that morning before we went out, I'm watching reels. There's this one reel where the person who recorded, the caption was like, my sister thought the waiter was cute, and so my dad did this. The cute waiter walks by. Her dad says, hey, my daughter thinks you're really cute. And the daughter's like, what? Oh my God. And starts freaking out, covers her face. Like, they're sitting at a table. She slides off of the bench down, hiding under the table. And I thought, it's funny. And so that was quite literally what happened when we were out. My bestie's husband said, I'm going to go to the bar, grab some drinks. I said, I'm going to come with you. Maybe you can be like my wingman or something. But I'm like low-key joking, but not joking. But kind of like, whatever. We'll see. So we go back inside to that bar, and the group of guys are still there. And I said, okay, yeah, like those guys, I think they're cute. Without hesitation, without like coming up with a game plan, without conversing to me, like no hesitation whatsoever. He immediately, like, I was kind of standing by the group and he was on this side, and then we kind of just switched, and he immediately goes up to the group. In this moment, I don't know what he's saying to them, right? But I think it's like a group of like 4 or 5 guys. All of the guys disperse except for this one guy. And then my bestie's husband also walks off. But before, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And so now it's just us two at the bar. I say hi, introduce myself. He introduces himself. And we're kind of just shooting the shit. Like, I felt like the whole interaction was such a fucking vibe. And one thing I reflected on whenever like I'm talking to someone cute and we're actually like getting along and having good conversation, I'm always like, oh my God, I felt like we were vibing. But literally I vibe with like anyone. So sometimes it's like, is it really that much of a vibe, or is it just, does it feel like it's more vibing than compared to other people because this person is attractive and I am attracted to them? But he is just a freaking cutie. He had beautiful teeth. He had that perfect shade of brown hair that I love. And I forget exactly what we went into talking about. I think he asked like, what do I do or something? And I say, oh, I stay home. And he laughed. And so I guess then I said, oh, I'm a hairstylist. And I guess I looked at his hair. I was like, let me check your hair out, examining. I'm like, do you do like a 3, like a guard number for the clipper to determine like the length? And he was like, yeah. I forget if he said he does a 3 or 3.5, but he does like a low taper fade or whatever. And so then we like get into the conversation, and he was like, so what makes you different like if I were to go to like a sports clips or a great clips or whatever, like what makes you different from all those other people? And I immediately was just like, well, attention to detail, number one. And number two, how you feel when you leave my chair, like the connection that you're going to have with me. Because that is something that I am hands down 1000% confident in, is my personality and how I make other people feel, because I will ask you questions about yourself. I will hype you up. I will listen and provide a safe space for you, whether you're a guy or a girl, whatever it is that you want to talk about. Like, I am here for you. And that is what makes me different from everyone else. We listen, we don't judge, and I love to listen. I'm curious about people. And so I'm going off on a tangent about that. And I joke when I talked about this in my group chat, I was like, I think that was the moment that he fell in love with me. But we were just vibing. He's in real estate. He lives in Dallas, but works like close to the Mexico border. He just overall seemed like a very wholesome guy, and I love that about him. I think like average height, maybe a little shorter than what I'm used to, but honestly, I just don't like, height really isn't that important to me anymore. So we're growing, because back in the day, it was like if your height started with a 5, I don't love that. But I'm 5'2", so really not that important. You know, my ex-husband was 6'6", beautiful blue eyes, and the type of guy physically, I mean, 10 years older, but whatever. Like, that's just not what is important to me anymore. What is important to me is if you are wholesome and you are kind and you are compassionate and you know how to communicate and you're not afraid to be vulnerable and express yourself, and you're going to provide a safe space for me as well as I will for you. And we vibe, we get along, we get each other, we're best friends, right? All that fucking shit. So that is what is important. Like, do you have emotional intelligence? Are you emotionally available? You know, like, are you aware of yourself and who you are? And do you have passions in life? Like, those things are important to me. Not necessarily height, you know, race for that matter, or what you do for a living. Are you doing something, and are you doing something that you love and are good at? Are you learning? Are you growing as well? So anyway, the whole fucking interaction, I felt like, was such a vibe. I thought he was just so cute, and I am always in my element when I'm out and about. I personally feel that way, and especially after a few drinks, I am like way in my element. I love talking to people. I love giving people compliments. I just love hyping people up and dancing. Wow, like what a fucking combo. So I felt like our conversation that we were having, like, we were vibing. And you know, I think it was me talking about what makes me different from hair. So then I get a little bit into like specifics with hair technique, cutting techniques and shit like that, and more about the emotional or connection that you're going to have with me in your chair and stuff like that. And he was like, you're giving like genius. Like, also, was that a love bomb? But he said, I'm getting this vibe that, you know, you're like a genius, like you're really intelligent or something along those lines. And I was just like, I don't think I'm a genius. I wouldn't say that I'm a genius. And he's like, no, I think you are. And I was like, well, I did win the spelling bee in 3rd grade. And he asked me what the winning word was, which I was so taken aback because I don't think anyone's ever asked me what the winning word was. And I said I didn't remember what the word was that I won with, but I remember the losing word. So whenever I leveled up to like district or whatever spelling bee, I said I lost on the word noble. Like I spelled it Nobel. And yeah, I was just like, I don't think I'm a genius, or I wouldn't say that I'm a genius, but I said that I think regarding emotional intelligence, I am a genius. Like, I feel like I'm very self aware and I'm aware of other people and have empathy, and I'm always curious to why, like, they may be the way that they are, and it might not necessarily be just because they're, like a bitch or an asshole. Like, when you behave a certain way, there's a reason, right? So I like to try to understand why people are that way. And it doesn't mean that it's an excuse. It's just I have empathy for people and I'm curious. So then he asked, basically, he was like, okay, you're good at that. Well, let's go. Let's emotionally interrogate me, basically. And I was just like, well, that just means that we're going to have to talk and I'm going to have to get to know you. And he's like, all right, let's go. Ask me questions. And so then I started asking him questions, and everything was kind of like, it was just fun. It was light. It was wholesome, but it was flirty. And I catch the vibe that he's really good at communicating because of how he was interacting with me, asking me questions as well. And at the end, he said, okay, Lisa, so my friends are kind of staring at me. We were over here because I was going to get a round of shots, and I think they're waiting on me. So I'm going to order these shots. I think and I'm just gonna, what's the word? Paraphrase what he said. I don't remember the exact words he said, but basically it was like, Lisa, I think you're great. You look, and then he complimented me on my looks, on my intelligence, on my personality. And he said, could I get your number? And maybe, we can catch back up later, or I will just text you, something along those lines. Right. And so I gave him my number, and it was his birthday. So, I shook his hand. I said, happy birthday. And he shook my hand, right? But then he like picked my hand up and bowed down to my hand to kiss it. And I was like, oh my God, stop. That was the cutest thing anyone has like ever done. And that was Saturday night, and it's Monday, and he has not texted me. So this is the point, the enlightenment point, right? I love that I've grown to a point where I can embrace and enjoy an interaction that I have with someone that I'm attracted to, and hold on to that like excitement, that high, like that. I remember I was just like clinging on to that feeling because that feeling feels good, right? Like, whether it is someone that I'm attracted to or just anyone in general. Like today, my client, sometimes we'll get into really deep conversations. Sometimes she's busy working, right? So then we are not talking that much. And today was just one of those days where we really got into deep conversations about people and their psyche and masculinity and toxic masculinity, which really isn't masculinity at all. I think if you are a toxic man, you are not in your masculine. You are a little boy, you're actually more in your feminine. Definitely not enough masculine. Just because you're angry and you're a man doesn't make you masculine, right? When you are having these kind of energies, it's actually very childish and immature. So I feel like that's also another tangent. I guess let me just say that since I've been on this healing journey, reflecting back on these last few years where it is just like, oh, we want to be equals, women, right? Like toxic masculinity, the white man's time is over and all that stuff. I feel like all of that is toxic. I feel like a man should lead, should have that strength to protect women, the woman that they're with, their girlfriend, their spouse, emotionally, physically. That doesn't mean that like they should I'm not saying that they should like fucking learn mixed martial arts and be ready to fight someone and like come to their woman's aid by any means. I'm just saying that he should be her protector. providing anything emotionally, financially, a mixture of both. Excuse me. Providing safety and love. I think you can be a strong man. I think you can be firm. I think you can be masculine, but at the same time be gentle with anyone, but especially with your spouse and your children. I think we should definitely reframe our thoughts on what we think a man should be. So that side tangent was the conversation that me and my client got into today. Let's circle back to, I don't even know what nickname I want to give him. Let's just call him JH. I was going to say JB, but like, where's that B coming from? JH. He just seemed very, and this is, just instincts, intuition, obviously had a few drinks. Just based off of our interaction, I've gathered, or maybe that's what I want to think. I don't know. But I like to think that I'm really good at picking up on people's vibes. And he seems to me like he is a respectful, wholesome human being. And I love that. And as far as if he's actually going to text me or not, that's a whole different story. But to go back to the point is the fact that I have put in the work and I'm continually putting in work to grow and to better myself. To know that, hey, I had a magical, and I will absolutely say magical interaction with someone cutie that I'm attracted to, and be okay that like potentially that could just be it. I may not ever hear from this human ever again. And because I've done the work on myself, my self-esteem, my self-worth, that is not being dragged down. That is not being attacked if he doesn't ever text me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not questioning myself, like, why hasn't he texted me yet? Is he going to? Is this, is that, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with Sweet Baby Angel. Everything came into alignment for us to cross paths, not once, not twice, but so many different ways that we have crossed each other's paths, so many synchronicities in things that we like, hobbies, all that stuff, relationships, right? Me manifesting him reaching out to me to help me open my eyes and come back to life, basically. All of those things happened, and I'm not like fixated on this is the person that I'm meant to be with, right? I think there were a few months where I was like, I'm pretty sure that's who I'm going to marry. And that's just me having ADHD and being excited for connection with this person or whatever, or like hyper fixating. And sometimes you have to be delulu whenever you are manifesting. But I am aware, like in those moments when I am saying, oh yeah, I really believe that this is who I'm going to end up with. I say that for fun and because it gives me that like dopamine hit. However, what I really am focusing on is how I feel with myself and how I visualize my partner to be and how they feel about me, and that happiness and that excitement, like overall in general, not specific to him, not specific to any guy that I have a crush on, but just in general, that emotion, that feeling of love and safety, excitement for the future. Like that is what I am sure and that is what I hold on to. Those things specifically, not the person that I might have my eye on at that time. So going back and saying, Yes, the fact that I was like, I'm going to manifest my future husband and maybe he'll be here tonight, right? The fact that before we went out, earlier that morning, I watched this reel where the dad was like, hey, my girlfriend thinks you're cute. So after that interaction with him, right, I said bye. I said, we'll be out here, blah, blah, blah. I wish, and I hate that I do this, but maybe I will learn how to exit a conversation better, or in my opinion, better. But all I said was bye. Happy birthday. We'll be outside. Like, I wish I would have said, I'm looking forward to hearing from you or whatever. But we can wish all we want. It's like, it's really just up to them, right? Like, I can't, and I won't, and I don't beat myself up on, oh, I should have said this, or oh, I should have said that. I might have those thoughts, but then I kind of just let it go, because if it was meant to be, it would be, right? Like, it was made aware that I thought he was cute. He made it aware that he was attracted to me as well. I gave him my number. It is what it is. Unless he like lost his phone or whatever, we can fixate on the reasons why to distract ourselves from that feeling of lack, basically. And I think that's what happens. That is what happens when we are focusing on the why. Like, why hasn't he texted me? Did he lose his phone? Is he alive? Like, all of these things to distract ourselves from just being in the moment. Because when you're in the moment, you can say, and you can be aware of, is this fear? Am I feeling fear of rejection? So now, instead of just focusing on the moment, understanding what I am feeling in the moment, and knowing that I can make the choice to move on from that feeling, to feel it and then move on and not live there, and then literally just move on. But when we are second guessing and contemplating and trying to figure out all of these possible reasons as to why he hasn't texted, it doesn't help you. You're not ever going to get a real answer. And I've talked about this in the last episode, I'm pretty sure. It's not going to give you closure. It's not going to make you feel good about yourself. Like, whatever the reason is, it just is. And what you can do is just be grateful that you got to experience a fun interaction with someone, right? You made a connection with someone. And just because it didn't go anywhere doesn't mean that it wasn't a great experience, right? I thought it was a beautiful moment. And depending on him and what he may think, doesn't really matter what he thinks. What I think and how I feel was, I felt like that was a very beautiful experience, magical, as in just talking to someone and interacting with someone and connecting with someone. Like, there was a connection. Did it lead anywhere? Is it going to lead anywhere? Who knows? But I feel like that is just like living, right? Like, I was just alive in that moment. When I'm out and dancing, I'm alive. When I'm out connecting with people, talking to people, random friends, whatever, I am alive. I am living. I am connecting. I am building something. And it doesn't have to mean that there has to be a relationship. We can just use those moments to look back on, or to hold on to as, again, a beautiful experience, because that was beautiful. Like, just to connect and vibe with someone like that. And then him, we're giving each other compliments, and then him like kissing my hand. I was like, oh my God, I can write about this. And then that's it. And with Hollywood, same thing. I thought that we were vibing, and that part was actually a little confusing, but it just is what it is. It is what it is. With that situation, I am 10,000 times proud of myself for approaching him, shooting my shot, right? Like, when I tell people, and I've already said this, the fact that everyone is so like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, that is so bold. I could never do that. You can. You 100% can. You have to let go of that fear of rejection. Because if, again, I said this before, if they're rejecting you, this doesn't have anything to do with you. It's them. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. They could have fear. They could not be emotionally available or this, that, or whatever. Like, there could be so many reasons as to why they got afraid and couldn't handle and couldn't communicate, whatever. It just is what it is. Like, it literally is just what it is. And what it is doesn't have to be a negative thing. It just is. Like, you just let it be and you move on. Like, we don't always have to have the answers. I think when we're searching for those answers, we really are just wasting time in this loop of what are we seeking for? It's like we're seeking for a reason to feel okay, and maybe in a sense to validate us so that we don't feel less than, so that we don't feel like, oh, he wasn't into me and this is the reason, and that means that I'm not less than. You don't have to search for the reason. You don't have to do all of that. You don't have to spiral in those thoughts to make yourself feel okay, because that's stress enough, because you're wondering and you're literally in your head about it. You could just simply say to yourself, I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table, and I know what I deserve. And yes, though I had this connection with someone, they don't feel the same, and that's fine. That just means they were not meant for me, and we move on. And I don't cling on to the feeling of being disappointed or that time is wasted, because I don't believe that there is a waste of time. And I know I just contradicted myself when I said that when we're spiraling and searching for all these things as to why they didn't text you, that's a waste of time. I guess to a point it isn't a waste of time, but it's taking more time. You're involving yourself in this stress that you don't have to. And eventually you will learn or you will move on, right? But like that time that was spent on the stress trying to find answers, you don't have to do that. Your answer is already here. Like, your answer is within yourself. Your answer is within your worth, your self-esteem, like I said, what you deserve. Your answer is knowing that you are that bitch. And the person that is meant for you is going to recognize that right off the bat. And they are not going to want to lose that opportunity to get to know you, to take you out and learn everything about you, because they want to be with you. That is what I truly believe. And as I've been on this spiritual path and this healing journey, it really is having faith. And I think I've talked about this before, as in, I'm not per se like a religious person. I don't go to church. I do believe in a higher power and a higher being, whatever it may be, energy, the universe, male, female, both, whatever. But as I've been healing and on this spiritual path, I realize and I understand people who do have faith, who do believe in God, religion, right? I feel like it's all the same. To an extent, it's not the same, but it is the same. You are believing in something that is bigger than yourself. You are trusting in something that you cannot see, that you don't really have proof that it is, like you can't just walk up to it. Like, it is just a feeling that you feel in your heart and in your body. It is this trust, truly, like you have to trust that you are on the right path and everything is working out for you. Because when you don't have that faith and you don't have that trust, that's when you are going to be anxious, when you are going to be thinking about the future or fixating on the past instead of just living in the moment and living in the present and just being grateful to live and actually live and wake up, be aware of yourself, of your feelings, of other people, and just love others. But most importantly, love yourself. And I know it might be crazy, or maybe I'll have this thought later on where it is crazy that I'm preaching all of this, yet my body dysmorphia is so fucking real. Thinking, yes, that I looked like a potato when I was out, and the fanny pack really like helped. And it wasn't, thinking my arms look a certain way or whatever. And then seeing myself in a picture, like having my picture taken and seeing like, oh shit, that's what I look like. What? That's crazy. Because I thought I looked like something else. Like when I am looking into the mirror versus when a photo is being taken of me. That was like a fucking insane moment on Saturday. I was like, okay, I need to fucking chill out because I'm fine. Like I look, and I can't even say that I look good. So that's crazy. The body dysmorphia with my boobs. Like there are some days where I'm like, I feel like my boobs are small and I literally paid to get them done. Isn't that nuts? Like when I'm wearing a specific shirt, I would be like, oh, okay, yeah, like they are big. They're fine. They look great. And compared to what they were, like, girl, they're so good. But then there are some days where I'm like, they look tiny. And I like how they look when I'm wearing a bra. But most of the time I'm not wearing a bra. And I think I just don't know. Like it is just, and I know people, that happens to people when they have cosmetic surgery, is they feel like, oh, this could be better. This could be better. And then they continue to chase that. And like they get their boobs bigger and bigger, or they're on their fourth nose job or whatever. And I don't want to be that way. And I won't. And I'm not going to. I have that awareness to be aware that they're big. But there are moments where, I feel like my glutes aren't big and I want them to be bigger. And my quads are huge, but my glutes aren't big. But my stomach is big and my arms are big, but not big in the cut, ripped way that I want them to be. And then it's just like, why am I putting myself through this? Because I don't want to put it on my ex, right? I had to have already had issues with my body before then. And I did, because I had issues with binge eating. Even before binge eating in high school, like a lot of us used to think that we were fat in high school and we were tiny. So just the fact that, yeah, being aware of that and like really fixing that would be great. So jot that down. All right. I think that's really all I have to say. Like I really wanted to catch and tell the story while I was still excited from that weekend, from Saturday. And I don't even want to say that I hope I hear from him. I do look forward to hearing from him. I am very excited for when I hear from him, but if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. And that's completely fine. Completely fine. It was a beautiful moment. I thought he was really cute. And I felt like we vibed, and that was great. Just like there was a client the other week that I thought was extremely cute, and I wasn't expecting him to be, just because, I like white guys, and his last name was giving not white. But I had this thought, like, I forget, I don't think I told this story yet. So I was checking my email in the break room, and it said, oh, so-and-so booked an appointment, and it was a men's name. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if he'll be cute. And then I clicked on the name and saw his last name, and I was like, Maybe he will be, but probably not my type. And then when I walked up to him, I was like, oh my God, he is so cute. Like, so cutie. We also vibed as fuck. He likes to travel, loved EDM, goes to shows. We like the similar DJs. He's been to this club in Dallas that I've been to. And he's like, yeah, joking, like, oh, I'm there like almost every weekend. And we vibed hard, and he was asking me questions, trying to get to know me. And I felt like that was such a great moment. He wears his hair long, and that was the first time he got it cut at a hair salon. He said usually his mom cuts his hair for him, which I thought was kind of cute. So, maybe he'll come back for another trim, maybe not. But I did give him my card. And at the end, afterwards, I was like, I wish I would have said, like, maybe I'll see you sometime at Silo or whatever, like, just to give that extra reiteration that I think he's cute. He did show me a picture. I think it was like his work ID or something. Because I asked him what he used to wear his hair like when it was shorter, and he showed me, and I was like, oh, cute. But, it really just is what it is. Like right now, the era that I am in is just connecting with people and putting myself out there. Whether it's shooting my shot or whatever, that's just what I'm doing. And I feel like that's great practice as well. To just see it as that, to just see it as practicing, talking to people, getting to know people for just who they are, not because you're hoping that they're going to be your husband. You know what I mean? Like, to really be interested in someone just to get to know them, because we're outside and we are just always like on our phone or isolating, watching TV, whatever, like social media takeover, the whole fucking thing, where we just don't interact with people that much anymore. And interacting with people gives us fucking anxiety, when it used to not be like that. Like, you could go outside and wave at the cars that drive by, or hold the door open for someone, or when you're in a waiting room, like just starting up a conversation with somebody instead of having your headphones in. And by no means am I hating, because I definitely be having my headphones in. And I think the only time I really interact with people is when I am out. And we're in the line at the bathroom or on the dance floor. That's when I start to talk to people, whether I'm under the influence of alcohol or not. And you just never know what kinds of people you can meet when you are interacting with someone. Like, there is a potential that this person that you're talking to, you might have something in common with them. They might have a brother or a son or whatever, a sister or somebody that is your sexual type. That you, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say, right? There could be connections, right? They might work in a field that you've always wanted to, but you're too scared to. They might be into the same art, the same music. They might know somebody that knows somebody that knows some about it. Like, why are we so afraid to connect with people? It's like, what is the fear? Is it fear of being rejected? Is it fear of, like, are you afraid of how you're going to come off? Are you afraid that they might be like, ew, why you're talking to me? But just knowing that however that other person reacts, totally 100% on them, not on us. That applies to any and every kind of reaction. Not necessarily someone that you're trying to date, someone that you're interested in, you know what I mean? So I guess the point of this whole video is to say, connect with people and just have fun. Like, just have fun living, loving. Like, just have fun. Oh my God. Let's not take life so fucking serious. Life is a beautiful gift. It is meant to live. And are you living? Or are you hiding? Or are you afraid? Are you in a shell of yourself? Are you asleep? Like, knock, knock. Life is waiting. Let's wake up. Let's feel comfortable in our skin. Let's love ourselves so fucking hard. That way that we just don't accept breadcrumbs or some bullshit little shit that someone gives us and be like, oh my God, like that's love and that's affection, when it's not. Attention is different from intention. Attention, okay? You're getting praised, you're getting complimented. Intention, what does this person want from you? And what is this person wanting to give you? Are you going to grow? Are you going to benefit with this relationship? And not in a selfish way, but you know what I'm saying, right? Anyways, that's it, babies. Thank you guys for listening. I will see y'all next time. Bye.